Last Call with BJ Edwards. Real talk about real life.
And we are back. We've got Jeff Morgan on the line with us in Dallas, Texas, and Jeff was part of the. Let me double click that there, get you back on, Jeff. Jeff was in the courtroom in the courthouse when this just, I don't even know how to describe this situation. I really don't. This is as bad as Nazi Germany. And Jeff, I don't want to keep you too much longer. I tell you what we probably ought to do is have you back. If there's any changes or any new updates this week, maybe have you back for a little longer and then bring a couple other guests along with you and have it out with this situation. This is just absolutely, it is child abuse. It is flat out child abuse. It is unconscionable. And we live in a nation that is asking themselves the question, well, is this right or we're asking ourselves, is this right or wrong? What? Well, how did we get to that point? Okay, I'm done, Jeff. Go ahead. I interrupted you.
No, but BJ, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because there's something else that is mentioned a lot of times in these family courts, and that is the phrase, the best interest of the child. Uh-huh. Do you think this is in the best interest of the child? And the moment somebody says it, it's almost like a spell comes upon the courtroom. Yes, it's the best interest of the child. I saw this happen again and again. And on the Friday that I was there, a week ago yesterday, they had a couple of people, presenting themselves, their case before the judge ahead of time. And they would ask, do you think this is in the best interest of the child? Somebody would say yes. And the first thing I thought is, prove it. How would you know? I'm looking at some of these people and I'm thinking, I don't know if you know what 7 times 7 is, but you're telling me what the best interest of the child is.
How would you know?
Because the best interest of the child, by my definition, is to be, in almost every instance, is to be raised in an intact family with his or her natural mother and father.
Yep.
And hopefully surrounded by a strong extended family and by a society that supports this type of commitment.
There's an organization around, Jeff, that promotes that. I think it's called the, wait a minute. The Natural Family Foundation. Yeah. Those guys are all for what you're talking about. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And the idea of the best interest of the child. Do you believe it is in the best interest of the child to affirm your child? That is a loaded question.
Yeah.
And so you make the question. So you say that yes, I do believe. Do you believe it is not in the best interest of the child to have the father out him in public? All of these things. And BJ, there is an order that was given, and they talked about the best interest of the child. And I'm shocked at what the best interest of the child is. I'm also shocked at what they found to be facts and conclusions of law. I'm like, where are the facts? 120 facts that they found, and I don't even know if any of them qualify as facts. Maybe there are a few, but not. But mostly it's opinions. It's my conclusions. It's this. It's that.
You've been pretty open about this. In your divorce proceedings, there are a lot of accusations against you. There's a lot of history that they pulled up, and a lot of really negative things that the court deemed to have found. Can you just kind of tell us about some of those accusations and what the court later found?
Yeah, so I did an appeal after my annulment. And let's be clear what the court did. It annulled a 5-year marriage with 2 children. And by doing so, it made those 2 children illegitimate and born out of wedlock. I've told this to judges, other judges in other counties, and lawyers, and they fall out of their chair. As far as I know, that's never happened in Texas before, right? We don't make children illegitimate. We don't do that in Texas, but this judge did that. The findings of fact, I've published them on the SaveJames.com site, and I've been very open about them because there's 2 interpretations of them. One is that they're very damaging to me, okay? And they probably will follow me for the rest of my life. But there's another interpretation. I think if you read the findings of fact, you'll find that they're ridiculous. And I think they're an indictment of the court, and that's why I put them out there. Let me give you one example. I believe it's finding 57. I'm not sure the number. But one of the findings says, this is a finding of fact from a judge in a court, okay? An official finding of fact. Keep this in mind. Here it is, quote, Jeffrey Damon Younger will do and say anything to get his own way, unquote. The court actually found, as a matter of fact, that it knew what I would do in the future, which is totally absurd, right? The other thing I would say is the whole annulment was granted on the basis of marital fraud. Basically, I had misrepresented my military background, my education, where I'd worked, and how much money I had made. But here's the thing that nobody ever talks about. We signed a prenuptial agreement. And in the prenuptial agreement, we disclosed 7 years of employment history, 7 years of address history, all of our bank accounts, all of our retirement accounts and financial assets, all real property that we owned, all personal property that we owned. In addition, we gave each other our Social Security numbers and our driver's license numbers so we could run background checks on each other. Every single page of the prenup was initialed. Texas law requires that a lawyer brief you on the contents of the prenuptial agreement. Then it was signed by both Ms. Georgelis and I and by our attorneys, and the judge still said I misled her about these things.
So when you look at the family courts and what goes on in them, I'm hoping, DJ, that this case is the leverage that we can start to really address the issues, because they are systemic and they are abusive and they are totally destructive, not just of the family, but of the children, of the grandchildren, of grandparents, of aunts and uncles. This is a big issue. Mm-hmm. And, we need to, I'm hoping that with the Attorney General and with Governor Greg Abbott, within our own state, and we've spoken with some of these people at various times, I'm hoping that we're going to be able to use this to say, this is the tip of the iceberg. Yes, it is the natural conclusion to what you are permitting in the state of Texas. It may seem egregious, but this whole thing is egregious. You are destroying children and grandchildren and everything else. You are destroying lives. Recently, we had our governor talk about the problem of homelessness. And when I heard him talk about it, I wanted to say, Governor Abbott, do you not realize that many of these homeless people may have been made homeless by you, or by when you were the Attorney General, or by the whole divorce system?
Wow.
And these issues are very, very deep. Divorce does not help anybody. There's no study that says divorce is in the best interest of the children. There's some propaganda about that, but research upon research upon research says that it's damaging. This is just what we saw with Save James. This is the most egregious form that shocks the conscience of a nation, as it should. But we need to have our conscience shocked to what goes on every single day in these courts, and the injustices that take place, the lack of constitutional protection. So we hope to use this to actually make some substantive changes, some real changes, not merely cosmetic lipstick changes. If you put lipstick on the pig, it's still a pig.